Today's posts definitely have a theme. What do you do when a man shows his red flags, just shows his cards and lets you know, I'm a piece of crap? What do? You have a backbone and you learn how to walk away. Women have got to be willing to walk away from these pieces of crap. You just have to. So I'm doing a couple of Reddit posts, and at the end, there's a bonus video. There's 2 bonus videos of what a woman did when she got ghosted by a man that she was supposed to meet up for a date with. So go ahead and watch all of these. We will continue to have these conversations because a lot of times we're socialized to have some empathy for these men. We're socialized to see their tears and believe their apologies, but doubt their benefits. No more benefits of the doubt their benefits. Once they lose your respect and show that they are liars, understand that is probably who they are foundationally, and leave them where they stand. Let them continue to crash out until they organically become better people. All right, y'all, watch the videos. Let me know what you think. Yesterday, we talked about this tweet from Siren. She says, not my sister's fiance talking about he can't see himself with one woman weeks before the wedding. She sent him a thumbs up, blocked him, and went to the gym. He's crashing the F out. Raise this one right. He's calling my mother to tell my sister to answer the phone. Sorry, not sorry, but I'm currently on the line. I'm doing this again because there is a slight update. So Siren's tweets started going viral. So she says of her sister, she's currently reading all the responses and laughing. So she's actually good. Also, marriage counseling was done before, and all these questions were addressed. This is why she's not doing the talk with him for any reason. The talk was done, and this wasn't a thing. See, we got some important information right here. Siren says he's been having his head filled by men in his community and following a bunch of new women. Side note, this is a Haitian American man. Now, I feel like this should have been said before. I don't really know much about Haitian American men, but I feel like saying that will have the Haitians and the Haitian American women coming out to make this clearer. And the fact that men are filling his head with things tells me that men help keep other men single and crashing the F out, as Siren put it. Siren also says he calls crying and sent her a long epistle from another number talking about he was frustrated pretty much. She responded saying that she's not reading all that. We have a pick me alert. Sakura says, what's wrong with her being the other wife? Why is she being selfish though? I had to click into this one because WTF, calling her selfish for not wanting to be the other wife. Miriam Maka says, you can hit her up and ask for his contact. That way the wedding peeps don't go to waste. See? Problem solved. Thugnificent said, you don't need to tweet stupid stuff just for engagement, huh? And then finally, Bijou says, just go post your peaches on a right-wing page or some, girl. No need to do that here. Yeah, that was completely unnecessary, and it wasn't particularly necessary for me to click into it, but I did. Okay, coming back to this, side note, this is a Haitian American man. The reason why I revisited that is because these women weighed in. P says, y'all got to start your stories with this. Auntie Moo says, makes a lot of sense. Juicy JA says, that side note was loud and needed like a community note. KD says, all I needed to hear. And then Posh Clevender says, girl, say no more. Haiti and Yoruba men will try you. See, this is the reason why we need to continue to have these conversations, because the wider global community needs to know how these people act. So Dato says the manosphere will ruin many men's life. Like, when are they going to realize this? She saved herself for real. And we don't even necessarily know if it was the manosphere. It could have just been other men saying, you know, you don't want to do this. Are you sure? I mean, you don't even know if it was manosphere. It literally could just be the men over there. Johan says, oh, he's Haitian American. No wonder they're like that. They think women should always put up with everything without complaining. See, that's why I said we need to have these conversations. Put all of their information out there like this. This person says, Jacques Daniels, this you? Highlighted his name and everything. What does Jacques do? Flat-chested Shorty says, the fact that he's Haitian makes this so much more satisfying. Tatyona says, oh, this explains it. Then we got a man. Jack the Tipper says, nah, man. She sounds like she's done this before he even started his spiral. That level of detachment is crazy because they're so used to women begging like, please, please take me. Please, please. They're not used to women saying, I bet. You want to go out and be community ping? Go do that without me. They are not used to women saying, okay, you go do you. I'm just going to go over here. And women, I'm doing this again. I'm doing this the very next day because this needs to serve as a lesson. Make them fail and flail. If they see enough of these men failing and flailing and crashing out, maybe their brethren will start acting right. Maybe not, but it could be a lesson if they decided to make it a lesson. Z, the fan, says, the man is just trying to wife her, which is not the same as marrying. A King Rising says, you lost me at Haitian American. And Mahogany wants to know what's her sign. All right, so that's a few of the comments on the Twitter. Apologies, y'all. I have one more screenshot from the Twitter. Bohemian Diva says, I love how your sister is standing on business. Bravo. He's Haitian. That told me everything I needed to know. Nurse Jerry says, my now ex, also Haitian, dropped a similar bomb months before our wedding day. I dropped his ring off that night. Next day, he shows up and apologizes to my mom, and I went along with it. Notice I said my now ex at the start of this. But does that mean that you, she says I went along with it, but does that mean that you married him? I don't know. This girl I know says, I keep this photo handy for a reason. I ain't reading all that. I'm happy for you though, or sorry that happened. So take that screenshot if you ever need to just, drop it in someone's comments if someone sends you an essay. So the woman known as Siren over on Twitter is here in my page. She says, I truly never expected my tweet to get this far. Well, here she is in my space. And I'm like, yay. And I said, yay, you're here. I saw you made an update, so I'll be making a video in the morning because other people are wondering where's the rest of the story. And here I am giving the rest of the story. My homie Jess says, soft launching future infidelity before your wedding is wild. Yes, queen. Courier Postman says, saying that to your girl you managed to get engaged with before the wedding in this matrimonial economy? Exactly. Women are saying no to getting married these days. They're saying, I'm opting out. They don't want to get married, have kids and all that. And you secure one? Yeah, these dudes are not really thinking. Okay, this person, user with a bunch of numbers behind it, says either A, he was testing to see how accepting she would be to him being or eventually cheating, or B, seeking an emotional ego fix by inciting insecurity, but he got neither. Yes, give them nothing. Ugh. And they gonna love it. Art says she deserves a standing ovation. Good for her. I hope she stays safe and he stays blocked. But Y says he wanted her to cry and grovel and beg him so he can feel like he's doing her a favor. And she says, thank you, next. Thank you, next. Jay says, I love this for her. She isn't missing out. Trust not a single man who thought he had options lives happily ever after, always wishing for do-overs. And they deserve none. Let them live in their regrets. All right, y'all. I know that this story is going viral all over the place. I also saw it over on Threads. This is obviously here in TikTok, is on YouTube. So, keep spreading the word. And I want to keep spreading the word because I want this to be an example of how to be. Your dude says, I want an open relationship, and you don't. You say, I bet you are free. You are now open. It's closed on my end. We're no longer together, but you go, be free. He says, I don't think that I can do this. You say, I bet I got other things to do. You go, be free. The thing is, they have so much time, energy, and space to do what they want if they have a woman in their home. Don't be that soft landing for them. Don't do it. So let them be free and figure out how to do all of the things and get all of the benefits from somewhere else, not tapping into you. All right, y'all. Let me know what you think about this one. Join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Okay. Bye. Buckle up for this Find Out season story. You may need a beverage. It is kind of a long one. I got tagged in the update to this, so I had to go and find the original. So she posted this in the Am I the A-hole subreddit and relationship advice subreddit, but it's basically the same. I'm doing this one because of a couple of the comments here. The title is long. She puts a lot of information in this title. She's 27, he's 26. She says, my ex dumped me in January after 9 years together because he didn't think I was wife material. Now he reached out wanting to talk because he needs to get something off his chest. I don't know why he's doing this or if I should meet him. I was with my ex, who I'll call Nate, because if I'm being honest, minus betraying a friend, I was a Cassie. I know that that's a TV show or some characters on a TV show. I'm not particularly aware of this, but okay, someone knows what this is. She says, I don't want to go too much into the details, but for the last 9 years, I lost myself to Nate. He was my world. Everything I did was for him. I helped him through depression, helped get or keep his grades up, even worked 2 jobs so he could focus on college when his parents disowned him for nearly 3 years because they didn't agree with the major or college he chose. Bear in mind, I was also a college student. This is also, ladies, stop pouring so much into these people. Stop doing this. This is why our studies go to waste. This is how we get burnt out. Use your time, energy, and resources for yourself. Stop propping them up. She helped prop them up in this very first paragraph. This is the second paragraph. Stop doing this. Talk to your daughters about not pouring so much into young men. When his parents started talking to him again and started to financially support him, we moved into a new apartment. Nate said he wanted me to quit my job. I didn't because it was his turn to take care of me. For 16 months, everything was great. He spoiled me. Then I noticed he was more interested in his new friends at times. He ignored me completely. Back in December, he did a 180 and he loved bombed me the whole month. He really went out of his way to make Christmas magical for me. I honestly believed he was going to propose. On January the 2nd, he made me my favorite dinner and made this speech about me being his first love, how I've been there since high school, and kept thinking any minute now he's going to ask me to marry him. But no, he dumped me. As his speech went on, my world fell apart. And as much as he tried to sugarcoat it, he basically said, you were a good girlfriend, but that's what you will always be to me, a girlfriend. I don't see you as my wife or the mother of my children, blah, blah. You served your purpose. Now I don't need you anymore. Blah, blah. I need someone on my level, blah, blah. You're a gold digger, blah. I'll give you 30 days to move out. See? Pouring into yourself. Woo! So much better. Has she given herself that time, energy, and resources? How much further would she be? She propped him up. Now he's at a higher level, and now he can discard her. I couldn't speak, and he stared at me, looking for a response. I think this lasted 20 minutes before he said he'd sleep in the guest room, then left. Strangely, I didn't cry or get angry. I just ordered cardboard boxes online, then went to bed. The next day, I waited for him to leave the apartment before I left my room. Then I called my boss, begged really, if I could transfer anywhere. She told me there wasn't anything, but if something came up in my department, she'd consider me. I then reached out to everyone I knew that wasn't also Nate's friend for a place to stay. My cousin invited me to stay in her spare room for as long as I needed, and I could move in straight away. So that was amazing. In the 4 days it took me to pack my stuff and move out, I didn't see or speak to Nate. I doubt he even noticed. I didn't trust myself at the time to ignore a "you up" text, so I blocked him and everyone close to him, even changed my number, email to make sure he couldn't reach me. The first night at my cousin's was the night everything hit me. I think I cried every night the first month. I honestly felt like I thought about what Nate said over and over again. It made me feel so low, like I was nothing. He only stayed with me because I was just there. But thankfully, my cousin sent for my mom, other cousins, and real friends to give me an intervention, which I badly needed. I believe that first month I wouldn't have made it without my cousin. I'm still healing and waiting on that job transfer because I feel like if I'm not in the same city as Nate and I have a place of my own, the fresh start would do me a world of good, or the world of good. I thought by now I'd be a distant memory for Nate, But shockingly, he sent flowers to my job today for my birthday, which was on Sunday. Apparently, he went to my parents' house looking for me too, and my mom admitted he's been there before dropping off stuff and tried to ask questions about me, but they told him to F off. The flowers came with a card saying, "Dear Cassie, happy belated birthday. I've been thinking about you nonstop for the last few months, especially with how everything ended. I need to get something off my chest that I feel will haunt me for the rest of my life if I don't tell you this to your face, but I've no way of contacting you. If it's possible, can we meet up in the near future? Nate." What could he want? What's haunting him he needs to say to my face? Everyone in my life is telling me ignore him, but they hate him. I'm torn, but I can't lie. My curiosity is telling me meet him to see what he wants. Has anyone been in my shoes or in Nate's? Not going to editorialize. I'm just going to jump into the comments because, like I said, this is going to get long because there's an update. So Cultural Selection says, not going to lie, I didn't read all that. I just wanted to say, just because he needs to say something doesn't mean you need to hear it. I doubt it's anything that would add value to your life. He's likely wanting to alleviate guilt for some long ago trespass. So here's the OP saying, my cousin thinks he tried to monkey branch and it didn't work out. And if you don't know what monkey branch is, it means that you're in a relationship, you're unhappy, you're trying to reach out for the next branch or the next person to be in a relationship while you're still holding on to the other person. So Student of This Life says, seems like he cheated on you back in December before the love bombing. Now this dumb cheater is probably engaged to the affair partner, hence the wife material comment. F him. Let him implode that relationship just like he imploded yours. He's not a good human. He's trying to make himself feel better about something. He doesn't deserve that, and he doesn't deserve your time or energy. And then the OP says, you know what's pathetic? If he cheated and told me that was the reason he was breaking up with me, I don't think it would hurt me as much. Two Bionic Knees says, that's because losers like him want to be the good guy. He did everything to make you feel inadequate rather than admitting he was a piece of You're a gold digger when you work 2 jobs supporting his pathetic self. People like this want to damage you, want to make you feel bad, so if they come back, you will feel whole again and get back together. He's manipulative and again, you got 2 jobs to support him when he lost support, but he could have gotten 2 jobs and supported himself. He got you to support him rather than support himself. He's a manipulator. And with that, I'm going to leave that there because he absolutely is manipulating. But I'm going to make a part 2 with the update. Okay, so here's the update on the woman that got dumped because she wasn't wife material. She says, so we ended up meeting and no, I didn't go to him. I had told the receptionist at my work if he came looking for me, just say I was out for the day after he showed up once. I didn't want the drama of him around my job. So Nate just kept going to my usual places like the grocery store I go to every Saturday evening or the park I ran at Sunday mornings, his words, till he would eventually run into me. And he did yesterday. He was waiting at the coffee shop I go to after my morning run. When I saw him, I tried to turn around and leave, but he kept calling me. So I thought to myself, if everything went pear-shaped, a coffee shop would be safer than my walk home. I don't know what that means if everything went pear-shaped. All right, so she says, so I just sat down and asked him what he wanted. He gave an apology that wasn't an apology. You know the type with, I'm sorry, but, and pity me. He blamed his mental health, his job, his parents, his friends, everyone but himself. I took someone's advice on here and said, cut the crap, I already know everything. He genuinely looked shocked and stared at me for a second. I guess he thought his coworker already told me everything, so he couldn't lie. Here's what really happened. He fell for a girl in his office. When he told me her name, I knew her immediately. I've met her a few times. He told me for the last 2 years he idolized her. To be fair, she's beautiful with an amazing personality. And he hated me because I was the one stopping them from being together because his coworker was too classy to be a side piece. When he broke up with me, he confessed to her that he was madly in love with her and that he ended a 9-year relationship to be with her. Well, here's where it gets funny. She doesn't even like him. LOL. She called him a piece of trash and told him if he ever spoke to her outside of work, she'd report him to HR. So I asked him, what has any of this got to do with me? Like, we are over. I clearly cut ties. There's no reason for us to speak. He wants to try again. Promised we'd get married before the year ends, that we belong together. I told him I'm nobody's second choice. He threw me away after 9 years and said some pretty cruel things to me. And now he thinks if he snaps his finger, I'll come running back. He tried to beg and fake tears, bring in the good times in our relationship. I told him, please leave me alone, as he wasted too much of my time already. I texted my cousin to meet me at the coffee shop. He kept saying nonsense, even suggested if I went to couples counseling for a few months, he'd leave me alone. The 20 minutes it took for my cousin to arrive felt like 20 years. In the end, I just stopped listening and stood at the counter making small talk with the baristas till my cousin arrived. She told him to F off, and if he tried to follow us, she'd call her brothers. He stayed in the coffee shop as far as I know, and we went home. We just went home. That's it. It's only been a day, but I feel like it's over and I'm free of him. The nerve, the gall, the audacity. Too many of these people really overestimate themselves. They think simply like a woman at work smiling, being cordial, having manners, and that kind of thing is like the signal, like, yes, she absolutely wants me. They really overestimate themselves. This is the exact same thing that happens with these men that decide that they want to open up their marriage. They want to open up their relationship. And then they get on the dating apps and then they get no matches, or they just try their hand at dating and they see that literally nobody wants to talk to them. Men who are in relationships look better. They are better because they have a relationship. And a lot of the times it is the woman in the background that's making them, look better. So when a woman, even if a woman does get involved with someone that is connected with a woman, she's getting that man plus what's going on in the background with that relationship. I'm glad that she shut him down, and we have, regardless, y'all, and I already know sometimes these am I the a-hole posts are not real, but we need to talk about these things because this literally does happen. And we need to role play. We need to have these conversations about shutting these people down. They come back into your life. You need to have the words to say, no, I'm not letting you come back. You need to have some kind of variation of that. And sometimes getting that spine, having that confidence to say that, like, absolutely not. You treated me like trash. Having some of that into your brain already pre-programmed to spill out of your mouth is important, because if you haven't been taught to have a backbone, to have a spine to say, no, I am not dealing with somebody that treated me that way. It may not come naturally. You may fall for the fake tears and the pretty lies and the future faking. You might fall for this. So regardless, we need to continue to have these discussions. Tom Cruise's insoles, that's a funny name, says, laughing my butt off. The coworker doesn't even see him like that. So effing funny. Take care, OP. Cute Shine says, I love the coworker so much. People should take notes from her. She has an amazing personality, beautiful, classy. As OP said, she knows her worth. Wouldn't entertain an affair or what OP's ex did. She can smell trash from miles away and set boundaries like a pro. And this could be just like you. You can smell trash from a mile away. Don't get with some man who just dumps his ex to get with you. You should not feel flattered about that. And that loser thought she would entertain him. OP deserves better than that brain-damaged idiot. Too bad she wasted 9 years of her life before seeing him for what he is. Too Much for One Post says, what I love about this whole thing is that this is a brilliant example of why women find it way less of a risk to even bother to entertain men's attention to begin with. I bet she didn't lead him on or send all sorts of signals indicating she was into him. She, more than likely, just treated him like a normal platonic person in hopes that he'd pick up on that. And even that in itself is a risk. Hell, I even entertained that she could have been a bit patronizing to him out of fear, even in hopes that he'd not lose his on her. And the OP's ex, predictable as ever, blamed everyone but himself when the coworker could smell that a mile away. and rejected him and called out his. I feel terrible for OP for enduring a person like that for nearly a decade, but I'm also relieved for her now that he's cut off. Blue Mike Stu says that's the thing. Maybe OP's boyfriend could have been compatible with his coworker if he was single, but trying to get with her by leaving his long-term relationship showed her his values. She was never going to respect or trust him after he showed what he was like. And then Darwin says, yeah, the clown somehow thought, I've ended my near decade-long relationship to shoot my shot at you would make her fall for him. She was repulsed instead, like any sane woman would. Absolutely. There are a lot of different lessons in this post. Let me know what you saw in it that could be a cautionary tale for a woman. Join the conversation, like, comment, and share.
This guy ghosted me 2 weeks ago, and he texts me today. He invites me to Juicy Crab, and he didn't tell me why he ghosted me. So, of course, I said yes. I sent him the location that I wanted to go to, and I decided to go to a different one. I'm outside right now. I'm going to take myself on a date, and I will not be answering him. Update on the guy that ghosted me. I ended up going to Juicy Crab at a different location, but I blocked him right afterwards. I don't know what his response is. The last time I messaged him, he said that he was on the way, and that was it. So I don't know what happened, but I did have a good time by myself. I went shopping afterwards, and that's it. I would say try it if you want to.